And welcome once again to Nostalgia Alley. Great to have you here. We have an interesting guest, a really interesting guest. In fact, he has the same name I have. His name is Mike. And Mike happens to be a gripephologist. And he's going to explain exactly what that is. What is that? Well, thanks, Mike. It's really great. Thanks for the introduction. What I do is talk about little annoying things in life, gripes, things that we go through every single day, little gripes, big gripes, in between gripes. I've been saving these gripes like someone would save money in a bank account, and I'm ready to go. Gee, Mike, that's really interesting. You know, I have to say, it's really interesting you have the same name I do. What a coincidence. Well, Mike, it certainly is, and I'm really great to be on the show. In fact, Mike, let's get started with this. You know, one of the really big gripes in life is when you get a new shirt, and you take that shirt out, and have all the little pins all over the place, pins here and pins there, and you take it out and you go, thank God I have all the pins. You put the shirt on and it's ouch, ooh, ah. I think the people who design the shirts design it purposely. They get you. I think they're somewhat of a sadistic nature, and they go, if I put a pin in here and I do this, I'm going to be able to get the guy really good. That is one of my big gripes. And another gripe. Soup and half a sandwich. That just annoys the hell out of me. Soup and half a sandwich? What do they do with the other half of the sandwich? Does it go to the half a sandwich ranch in Nevada for retirement? I mean, that is just, you know, I want to eat. I want a sandwich and I want soup. I don't want soup and a half a sandwich. I mean, that's a big gripe. And then what's the deal with bottled water? Everybody is out and they're buying water. You have water with vitamins, you have flavored water, you have plain water. I got news, water is free from the tap, but everybody has to have water. My wife, God bless her, we've been married for 12 years, love her to death, but can't go anywhere without water. It's like this big thing of, well, I'm going across the street and she has this thing of water. It's like you're going to the Sahara Desert. So my other thing is that. And then, you know, people, when you go into the city, they have the backpacks in the water. And if you're on the subway, they get you with the backpacks. And you know, it's like they're going to climb the Himalaya mountains. They're going across the street. They're going a couple of blocks. That's another gripe. And what about those drivers? You're on the turnpike, and your guy puts on a right-hand signal, and he makes a left. That's another gripe. I mean, what's going on with? But of course, Jersey has the best drivers in the world. We all know that. How can you beat a Jersey driver? The other big thing: traffic signals in New Jersey. Now, I love Jersey. Garden State, beautiful. Traffic signals are crazy. I was up in New Jersey and I wanted to get the Jersey Turnpike. And there's a big sign, Jersey Turnpike. So I go, well, you know, it's going to be maybe a mile or two. I drove 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. Where's the Jersey Turnpike? I'm looking at the odometer. I got 15 miles clocked. There's no Jersey Turnpike. Finally, after probably, without exaggeration, 25, 30 miles, there's the Jersey Turnpike. But And it's a sharp turn onto the Jersey Turnpike. Is there any sign for the Jersey Turnpike? No, no sign. So that's another gripe. If you're going to say the Jersey have it within a couple of miles, because it drives you crazy. Now the other gripe is hard to open bottles. Have you ever got anything from a supermarket and you can't open it, and then your wife says, "Hun, can you open the bottle?" And it doesn't open, and then you have this image of being Hercules. I can open anything, and you can't open the bottle. So then you have to kind of say, "Excuse me, dear, I have to go down to the basement for a little while." And you go down to the basement, you have power tools to open it up, and then you come up and you're the hero. But I'm thinking, why do they make these bottles so like this? If you're an elderly person, God forbid you're an elderly person in this society, you could literally starve to death. So I think they should make them a little more easy to do it. And then the other thing is, and this always happens when you're in a hurry, the checkout counter at supermarkets, and there's always somebody in front of you, it never fails, who has 9,000 coupons, and here's a nickel off of the coffee, and here's 10 cents off for the vegetables, and this goes on and on and on. And then after maybe about 10 minutes, they put something in the scanner, and it's not the right price, and they go, "Price check," and then they go over, and you think they were going over to another country, and then they finally come back, "Well, you were right, that's like 49 cents a pound." And then you go, "Thank God, I'm free, I'm up, it's my turn up to bat." And then the woman takes out, or the man, I don't want to be sexist, takes out coins and pennies, nickels, half nickels, and then by the time they count the thing, it's like the next day. So that's my other thing. Check out at supermarkets. The other thing that I love, take a holiday, New Year's Eve, Christmas, Thanksgiving. You want to take the family out, you want to go out, celebrate during the holidays. You go into the restaurant and it's, quote, the special menu. Now, what does a special menu mean? Does it mean it's better? Does it mean it's more things? No. Special menu usually means 3 to 4 times what the price of the regular dinner would be. And not only do I hate paying 3 or 4 times for a special occasion, it's kind of, taking advantage of people. But there's less things on the menu. The regular menu may have 20 things. The special menu, we have 3 wonderful things. So that's another thing. The special menu just drives me crazy. And did anybody ever go to IKEA and do the do-it-yourself furniture? Hey, what a party! What a party to do-it-yourself merchandise. You go there, and you really don't have to be a rocket scientist. Even a rocket scientist, I think, would have problems with this. And it's this screw goes in here, that screw goes in here, and you lay all the stuff out on the floor. Because I did this with a computer thing. You lay all the stuff out on the floor, and you look at it and you go, "Oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?" And you crawl there and you try to get it, and then you finally get it, and then you realize, uh-oh, it's the wrong side. You got to take it all apart, reverse the side, put it back together again. And my favorite part is, after you've worked like a crazy person, everything is together, and there are 2 or 3 parts sitting there, extra parts. And you're going, uh-oh. But it works good with the extra parts on the floor. So that's, do-it-yourself furniture, not a biggie. And the thing that drives my darling wife crazy, if we go to a diner, usually it's a diner type of fare or a small restaurant, and they give you butter, and it's in these little tiny butter tubs, and it's just impossible. You just can't get them open. I try, and then finally, what I end up doing, I feel like the Bates Hotel. I take a knife and I go like this, and it's like I'm committing a multi-murder at the diner just to get these things open. That is another thing that absolutely drives me crazy. Gee, Mike, I never realized there were so many gripes going on here. It's pretty incredible. You are certainly a trooper. How did you get interested in the gripe kind of thing? Well, Mike, I'm glad you asked me that question. I'm a gripologist, and being in that field is you have to study for it. The Gripe University over in Iowa has a course in gripes, and it takes about 6 to 7 years because you have to give you a big written test on gripes and how gripes got started, and so you have to have the knowledge. You have to study. It's not something that just comes off the top of your head. So I did graduate back in 1968, and I've been a gripologist for many years now, and hopefully I've called attention to all these things, to the manufacturers and the people and everything like that. And we're gonna, I think, what was that? Well, Mike, I got from the control room a little cue here. We have to have a public service commercial. So just stay where you are, and we will come back with more gripes, and hopefully you will not have a gripe with this public service announcement.
After 17 years working as a mason, Mike was laid off. I met him when he came into the library looking for help. He found a job opening, but the application was only online. Mike said he'd spent his entire life around tools, but had never used a computer. I showed him how, and he ended up applying for numerous jobs online. I saw Mike the other day. His new computer skills paid off. He's working again.
New Jersey libraries are transforming lives. Tell us your story.
Welcome back. We have a really incredible guest tonight. I mean, one of the greatest guests I think we've ever had on the show, and really what a wealth of information. Mike, a couple of other gripes that kind of really get you annoyed, and always some excuse for raising gas. Well, actually. You ever see these people interviewed on TV, the big guys the president and the CEO of the gas companies. Well, gosh golly, the reason the gas prices are going up is that we had a problem at the refinery. A fly actually landed on one of the spigots, and we haven't been able to get gas out for weeks, so naturally we have to raise the gas prices. I mean, come on. Another thing, I'm going to put my glasses on here on this. Did you ever notice that when you wear glasses and you talk about something, it seems more important? You go, ladies and gentlemen, I just have to talk to you about this. Gives it that air, But we're an intimate studio. I don't need my glasses. Now the other thing is talking on cell phones. Especially with people driving. Talking on the cell. What is so important that you have to be always on the cell phone? I went to the supermarket today and bread was on sale for $1.49, and I'm going to eat dinner now, and the boringest stuff in the world. People are always on these cell phones. I mean, please. And then this is the downfall. The downfall of civilization. Emails. Everything is, I'll talk to you on the email. I'll get back to you on the email. Conversation. What happened to conversation? You call somebody up on the telephone. Hi, how are you? No, they go on the email. Hi, how are you? People don't have human contact today. Come on. It's the email thing is gonna kill us. And then, of course, if you were drivers out there, and I'm sure you've driven, The cars in the fast lane driving slow, and you sit there, and you know, the car in front of you, like it must be Sterling Morse from like 1928, driving like 3.5 miles an hour, and you're there with a car, and get over, and then finally, when you're going to pull over to pass, they pull over on that lane. I mean, they must have radar, something that kind of drives them to do that. And then my favorite one of my favorite ones, I don't want to say my favorite one, I would be prejudiced towards all the things, but doctor's offices, you know, you have to be at the doctor at 1 o'clock, and you break your butt to get there. You're there 1 o'clock on the dial, and then you sit and you wait, and you wait, and you're looking at your watch, and you're waiting, and usually the magazines that they have are horrible things, like from like 50 years ago. Uninteresting things. You know, if you're a guy, you're a macho guy, you have good housekeeping, and what are you going to do with it? So you're waiting, and then finally you look, it's like 1:30, 1:45, and then the receptionist comes out and says, the doctor, we're ready for you. And then you say, praise the Lord, the doctor's going to see me. They put you in another waiting room, and you sit there for another 20 minutes. And usually it's very cold, and you have to wear this thing that they, you know, this paper thing, and I can never get it on where you have to button it up, and I don't know whether it's the back or the front, and I'm sitting there trying to figure it out, and you know, it's crazy, it really is. And what about loud TV commercials? Now that's my favorite one. You're sitting there, you know, you're relaxed, and you're watching some really relaxing, maybe a nature show. The birds are flying around, the crocodile, you know, it's nice, and you're sitting there, and all of a sudden it's commercial time. Let me tell you about, you know, you go like this. And I don't want to say like the commercials today are loud, but I saw Helen Keller get up and leave. That's how loud they are. So, and supposedly our great Congress, they're going to pass a law to prevent that from happening. But they interviewed people and said, well, they're not that loud. It's the modulation that's modulating more than the regular shows. What that means, I don't know. And the other thing is, did you ever go to a party and they have a party and you see somebody double dipping the dip? I mean, oh my God, especially, you know, with the flu season that we have all this stuff. You know, I went to the doctor and I said, what's the difference between a flu and a cold? And he said about $50. But the double dipping will drive you crazy, you know. And then the very loud music at clubs, you go in there and, you know, the music is up like 90,000 decibels. I've seen grown men throw away their hearing aids. It's really, really, really crazy. And then, of course, my favorite one, you know, God bless the PATH system. They get millions of people at work every day. But did you ever try the bill acceptor at the pass stations that don't accept bills? You know, you have to, well, make sure that the president's picture is on the top, you know, and then you put it in and it comes out. You put it in and it comes out. And it drives you crazy. What's going on with the bill? So that's another big thing. And then, of course, restaurants that are closed for renovation. Have you ever seen that? You go to a restaurant, you like it, it's a fun place. You go back a couple of weeks later, closed for renovation. What that really means is the restaurant is out of business, but they don't want to admit it, so they put closed for renovations. You know, I've seen people there for years waiting to get in. And then, remember the good old days where we used to go to the hardware store and, you know, you had that wooden floor and you'd walk around, you hit a creak of the wood, and you'd go up to the counter and you'd have a screw and you'd say, you know, I got this little project, I need a screw, you know. And usually, you know, an elderly guy with wonderful gray hair, and he goes in the back and then he comes out and he has that exact screw that you want. Do we do that today? No, we don't do that today. You know what we do today? You bring the screw in, and you have to buy a dozen screws. I don't want a dozen screws. I want one screw. But you have to buy a dozen screws. That's another thing that. And then what about quote the bargains? The rebates. We have to mail the rebate in. Do you know that most people don't mail the rebates in, and the manufacturer knows that? People aren't going to mail in the rebates. Even if it's a 1050, people aren't, and God forbid you mail a rebate in. Do you ever get the rebate check? No. And you end up calling and they go, your call is very important to you. We'll be, we'll be back in 5, your wait is 5 minutes, and you're there for a half hour, and then finally you get somebody, and then you go, I didn't get the rebate, and then usually, if you're lucky, you do, but it's crazy. And what about the English language has a lot of words, and every year there are words that are added to the dictionary. They have programs that say, well, this year the popular word was, and this and that. But the thing that I can't stand, you go to a restaurant and you go, oh, I'd like a cup of coffee and a slice of pie, and they say, oh, no problem. What kind of a problem is it? I just want some pie. No problem. And everybody says it now, no problem. I said it to my wife recently. We were doing the script to this. Thank you, honey. And she said, no problem. So I can't win. But the term no problem should be outlawed. It should not be allowed. No problem. And then, what are movies today, gang? What, about 10 bucks? More? 10, 12 bucks? Something like that. You go to a movie and you sit down. And you got to be there. Movie is at 2 o'clock, and you're there. I don't want to get there at 2:02 because I'll miss the movie. So you get there at 2 o'clock, and what do you get? A half hour of commercials at the movies. I'm not paying to see some guy gulp Pepsi-Cola. And you sit, and by the time you actually see the movie, it's about a half hour's past to. Basically, now, if a movie starts at 2 o'clock, if you get there at 2:30, you'll start it. You'll miss the commercials. The other thing that just bugs the hell out of me is, what about revivals on Broadway? I mean, can't they find new shows on Broadway? Look at Annie. Annie is coming back again. Again! No, Annie, don't come back. Annie she's come back so many times, I think she's about 93 now. And the sun will not come up tomorrow if Annie comes up on Broadway. Absolutely not. Annie, oh God. And the other thing is, you want to get a plane and you want to get somewhere, and then you go and it's the security thing, and you gotta take off the shoes, and because, and it's embarrassing if you have a hole in your sock. Everybody, hey, look, hole in sock, you got to take off the shoes, and then you got to go through this machine, frisk, they frisk you all the time, looking for God knows what, And I think it's terrible, though I do like to go back again. But and then you have to weigh the luggage. It's got to be the certain amount of weight in the luggage. And we were at the airport. We're going to Florida, and they were weighing the luggage, and we were, I think, a pound over what it was supposed to be. It's a pound. It's not 50 pounds. It's a pound. So we said, how much extra is that? Well, that'll be about $100 more because that's over the. Come on. So here we are in the middle of the airport, taking things out of the luggage and put them in other luggages and putting in our hip pockets. I mean, my God, it was absolutely crazy. Crazy. So, a lot of gripes out there. Well, gee, Mike, that's really interesting about the gripes. I know that I've gone through a lot of gripes in my time, and I'm so glad that they're finished, that there are no gripes here. I'm glad you feel. Anybody in the crew here have any gripes? Anybody have any gripes?
No. The show's about to end.
The show's about to end?
Yeah.
Is that a gripe or is that a plus? What is that? Anyway, I just wanted to mention a few. My host will mention it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And what I wanted to mention to our guest and anybody else watching, hopefully people are watching, the show is very popular. I've been, since I've been doing the show, I think about 12 years now, 11 or 12 years. I've been doing a lot of supermarket closings, so I've been doing very well. Now, if you want to get in contact with me, if you would like to be on the show, and it's Nostalgia Alley, you're a collector, or you have something of interest, do email me. And we're going to have the email address at the end of the show, but the email address is nostalgia.alley@gmail.com. nostalgia.alley@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. We love to have, because we're always looking for interesting guests such as Mike here. And Mike, I just want to thank you once again for being on the show. Well, Mike, it's just been a pleasure to be on. I got to say, what a wonderful show you have. You're just so gifted. Well, thank you so much. I think we've come to the end of the run. So this is Mike Sobel saying thanks for tuning in. And I'd like to say good night to you, and especially to you.